Honestly, I never wanted any of this. I was just trying to survive, and somehow my husband got ruined. My mother-in-law was furious. And yet, I ended up with everything I never asked for. Life really knows how to play tricks on you and me. My husband and I were kidnapped by bandits together. The bandits gasped. A beauty. My husband lowered his voice and warned me. In a moment, no matter what they try to do to you, you must not resist. Don't drag me down with you. Tears welled in my eyes as I nodded. After all, the one he truly loved was my elder sister. He had only married me because he had no other choice. It was only natural that he wouldn't care about me. The very next second, 3 bandits dragged my husband away. We've been locked up in these mountains for years. When have we ever seen such a tender young gentleman? My husband struggled with all his might, which only annoyed the bandits. They slapped him twice across the face. I hurriedly called out, "Husband, no matter what they do to you, don't fight back. Your life is what matters." 1. My husband was ruined. Not just from behind, he was ruined in front as well. The doctor said my husband would never be able to have children again. Because of this, my mother-in-law was devastated. Zou Xueru, if it weren't for accompanying you back to your maiden home, my Yue would never have fallen into the hands of those bandits, and he would never have had his body destroyed. Yue is the only male heir our Xie family has had for 3 generations. How am I supposed to face our ancestors after I die? I cried just as bitterly. Whoa, it's all my fault. I've made my husband incapable. How about you divorce me? Otherwise, I don't know how I could ever make up for what I've done. To my surprise, my husband actually defended me.
No.
Zou Xueru, if not for you, would I have ended up crippled? You think you can just pat your butt and walk away? Not a chance. Mother, I will not divorce my wife. Only then did my mother-in-law seem to realize something. That's right. Exactly. Don't even think about leaving our Xie family. You'll serve my Yue for the rest of your life, and live as a widow in all but name. Honestly, I was so moved I could cry. They had no idea what kind of life I, an illegitimate daughter, had lived in the Zou family before I was married off. At least in the Xie household, I was the young madam. I didn't even have to serve my husband anymore. That was far better than being divorced and sent back. Thinking of that, I wept tears of joy. Whoa, I will take good care of my husband and serve the Xie family like an ox or a horse for the rest of my life.
2.
I am a woman raised on the virtues of obedience and propriety. Before I married, my concubine-born mother used to worry constantly that I was too meek and dull, that I didn't know how to please a husband, and that I would suffer in my in-laws' home. Well, now that I'd offended him beyond repair, there was no need to please him at all.
My husband loathed me.
Since he was no longer capable in the usual sense, and had nowhere to vent his frustration, he took particular pleasure in whipping me. My mother-in-law was a widow and loved nothing more than making things difficult for me. At night, she wouldn't let me sleep. She would mix red beans and mung beans together and make me kneel while sorting them apart. Once I finished, she would use the mung beans to cook sweet soup and the red beans to make rice cakes for my husband in the morning. Day after day. Night after night. What a full life this was. I was only 18, but I felt 80. I decided I couldn't go on like this. It seemed to me that the reason my mother-in-law tormented me so much was because she had no man. Once a woman has the nourishment of a man's affection, even the harshest mother-in-law can turn gentle and kind. So I went to an opera troupe and found her a martial role actor. My mother-in-law spent every day entangled with that actor. Though she was nearly 40, she began to glow with vitality. Her voice grew soft and tender. At night, she no longer summoned me to her courtyard to kneel and sort beans. It simply wasn't convenient anymore. When my mother-in-law was happy, I was happy. We were a family with my husband. There was no reason for us to be happy while he alone suffered. So I hired a bodyguard for him, a professional escort. The escort was 6'3", broad-shouldered, thick-waisted, with a full beard. Very manly. My husband lay submissively beneath him day and night, growing gentle and compliant. He no longer whipped me. Instead, He had the escort whip him.
3.
Inside the room, my husband was being beaten and howling. In the courtyard, I paced anxiously in circles. Husband, what's wrong? Why are you shouting so loudly? You're scaring me. Even being beaten so miserably, he still found the strength to comfort me. Get lost. Don't disturb my enjoyment. You may not have a man who wants you, but I do.
Well.
So that was what he thought. It didn't matter. I loved my husband. It didn't matter if I wasn't cherished by him, as long as my husband was cherished by his husband. That was enough. In that case, husband, you and brother Peng, take your time. I'll go sort out the accounts. My husband indulged himself in pleasure all day long. My mother-in-law was obsessed with opera and music. Our 10,000 mu of fertile farmland, dozens of estates, and hundreds of shops. No one managed them. Poor me. No husband's affection, and yet I had to manage all the accounts. Taking a few thousand taels of silver to spend. Surely that was only fair? I am a woman of virtue and propriety. I would never spend that money on myself alone. For instance, the bodyguard surnamed Peng, I gave him 100 taels every month. Since he was selling his strength anyway, it might as well be to my husband. 100 taels was more than he could earn escorting caravans for several years. I advised him not to be ungrateful. As for my mother-in-law's opera actor, he was a star performer. His appearance fee was high, and his sacrifices were considerable. I booked him for 3 months and paid him 1,000 taels. He was quite ambitious, too. After serving my mother-in-law, he expressed an interest in serving me as well. Naturally, I refused him. I am a woman who strictly observes a wife's proper conduct. And so, unable to serve me, the actor devoted himself even more diligently to serving my mother-in-law. Before long, my nearly 40-year-old mother-in-law became pregnant.
4.
The old physician who diagnosed the pregnancy was nearly 80 years old. The moment he felt the pulse, he seemed to grow decades younger because he was scared half to death. Young madam, the old madam says she's pregnant. My mother-in-law's pretty face turned deathly pale. Her lips trembled non-stop. When she looked at me, there was panic and helplessness in her eyes. I immediately shot the old physician a glare. Nonsense. My mother-in-law has been widowed for nearly 20 years. How could she possibly be pregnant? As I spoke, I slipped a banknote into his hand. Take another look. Could it just be bloating? At her age, digestive problems are common. The old physician accepted the money. His eyes darted around, his grizzled beard quivering as he said, "Young madam is absolutely right. These old eyes of mine must have failed me. The old madam is merely suffering from bloating." Beside him stood his young apprentice, handsome and fresh-faced, hair tied into 2 little buns, of red cinnabar on his forehead like a New Year print doll. But he had no sense at all. "Master, in my opinion, the old madam's symptoms don't resemble bloating." Before he could finish, he received a solid slap across the face. "Am I the master, or are you?"
See?
Young people have no tact. That's what happens. I grabbed the boy's hand and dragged him outside. This child, always spouting nonsense. "Look, you've angered your master, haven't you? Come on, follow big sister. I'll get you some fruit." I left the room to my mother-in-law and the old physician. As I stepped out, I vaguely heard my mother-in-law sobbing. "Doctor, this child cannot be kept. If it's born, the Xie family's reputation will be utterly ruined."
5.
I am a kind-hearted woman. There's a saying, saving one life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Though the child in my mother-in-law's belly was technically illegitimate, it was still a life. Now that my husband was incapable, and I could not bear children if my mother-in-law wanted to abort this one, that simply would not do. Among the 3 unfilial acts, leaving no heir is the worst. This child was the Xie family's only hope for a future. Who cared whether it was truly my late father-in-law's child or not? I had to protect it. With that thought, I stuffed a handful of candies into the apprentice's palm. "Little brother, big sister has a favor to ask." The apprentice saw through me at once. "You want me to switch the old madam's abortion medicine?" I looked at him in surprise. How are you so clever?
He huffed.
Oh, who was just saying I talk nonsense? Me. That was me. Little brother, I'm doing this for my mother-in-law's health. At her age, if she forcibly takes abortion medicine, she could bleed out and die. The Xie family only has my husband and my mother-in-law left. I can't let anything happen to her. If you agree to help me, I'll buy you whatever you want. The apprentice stared at me blankly. Big sister, you are truly a kind-hearted woman. When I grow up, I want to marry someone like you. I blushed shyly. This child talking nonsense again. So we replaced my mother-in-law's abortion medicine with pregnancy tonic herbs. She took it for 2 months. Not only did the child not miscarry, her belly began to show. And then my husband found out.
6.
My husband's face went from red to pale, pale to green, green to black. In the end, it looked utterly dreadful. I knew he was jealous that my mother-in-law could conceive while he could not. I took his hand. Husband, don't be angry with mother. She's only thinking of the Xie family. You know we cannot have children. After 100 years, who would inherit the Xie estate? Now that mother's pregnant, by blood, the child would be closest to us. When she gives birth, we can quietly take the baby and say it's ours. Wouldn't that be perfect? That way, we'll have an heir, and mother can treat the younger brother as a grandson. No need for mother and child to be separated. No matter how you looked at it, my husband benefited. As long as we had an heir, no one outside would dare say he was incapable anymore. Yet, unexpectedly, he flew into a rage. Impossible. I will never let that bastard inherit the Xie family fortune. If there is to be a child, it must be one you bear. I froze. What did he mean by that? Could it be that my husband loved me too? Wait. Why did I say too? Then he shoved the towering bodyguard in front of me. You'll have a child with him. I'll raise it as our own. So that was why my husband refused to let the younger brother inherit the estate. This was for Brother Escort. That made sense. My husband loved Brother Escort deeply. Wanting his bloodline to inherit the family fortune was understandable. He truly had this one husband, one wife arrangement all figured out.
7.
My husband drugged me and locked me in a room with Brother Escort. Xueru, endure it. It'll be over soon. No matter what happens between you and Peng Cheng, we are husband and wife. I will never despise you. What he didn't know was, once the door was shut, I pressed the embroidered toe of my shoe against Peng Cheng's broad chest and lifted his chin with the tip of a blade. Did you hear what your master said? Though Peng Cheng was built like a mountain, he was timid. He burst into tears, snot and tears streaming everywhere. Madam, I wouldn't dare. My life was saved by you. If you hadn't generously helped me back then, my old mother would have died of illness. My contract of sale is still in your hands. I would never dare tarnish your honor. I glanced toward the door. And if he asks? Peng Cheng hesitated, unable to read my thoughts. If the young master asks, I leaned close and whispered into his ear. You'll say we did everything. It's just a pity I didn't conceive. What a regrettable thing that would be. I pressed slightly harder. The blade sliced across his chest, drawing a thin line of blood. Peng Cheng. Yes. That night, I slept soundly in bed. Peng Cheng shook the leg of a chair all night to make noise. Madam, how do I compare to your husband? Madam, don't fall asleep. Otherwise you won't conceive. My husband stood guard outside the door all night, suffering through it. In the morning, after I finished dressing and applying my makeup, I stepped out to find his eyes bloodshot from exhaustion. The moment he saw me, he grabbed my collar. You shameless woman. You said you didn't want this, yet you clearly enjoyed yourself. I lowered my head and smiled shyly. Only last night did I learn the pleasures my husband enjoys. Would you be willing to share? My husband. Get lost. I'll never let you touch even a finger of his again. Me? Well, that's truly a pity.
8.
Although my husband hated me deeply, he loved Brother Escort even more. So every month, he kept close track of the days of my monthly cycle. Whenever he heard that my period had come, he would clutch his chest in frustration. The moment it ended, he immediately arranged for me to share a room with brother escort. Damn it, is this woman doing it on purpose? How many times has it been already? Why still no pregnancy? Woo-woo, Peng Lang, I don't want you to touch her, but we truly need a child. It was obvious he really wanted a child. But that was fine. Even if my husband and I had none, my mother-in-law's baby was about to be born. Her pregnancy was already over 9 months along. Soon the fruit would be ripe and ready to fall. From the moment her pregnancy was discovered, I had ordered her courtyard sealed off. Other than her personal attendants, no one knew she was with child. As for the opera actor, once the 3-month term ended, I sent him back to the troupe. I heard he had latched onto a wealthy young lady and had no idea my mother-in-law was pregnant. My mother-in-law was older, and the pregnancy was hard on her. For the past few months, she had been confined to bed, resting and taking tonics. She needed help with food and drink and no longer had the imposing air of the Xie family matriarch. But she still despised me as much as ever. Zou Xueru, you wretch. If not for you, would I, at nearly 40, still have to suffer through pregnancy and childbirth? I looked at her innocently. Mother, what are you saying? Are you implying your daughter-in-law forced you to break your widow's chastity and sneak around with a man? Then I returned every insult she had once thrown at me. Besides, what woman in this world doesn't bear children? So, what if you're nearly 40? My husband and guard Prung want a child, but can't even manage that. The moment the words left my mouth, I pretended I had misspoken and quickly covered it. Mother, please let me explain. My husband and guard Prung are not what you think.
9.
My mother-in-law already had a fierce temper. Hearing about my husband and guard Peng made her so angry her stomach began to ache. You little wretch, is this your doing? Did you plan this on purpose? As a wife, you can't even keep hold of your own husband. What use was there in our Xie family marrying you? Oh, I was very useful indeed. Mother, for the past year, the inner household and all the Xie family businesses have been managed entirely by your daughter-in-law. The profits have tripled compared to previous years. Given time, I'm confident I can increase them tenfold. You and husband spend your days enjoying yourselves. How would you know the hardship of running this estate? She froze for a moment. What? Tripled? Her expression softened slightly, though her tone remained disdainful. So what? You caused my son to have no heir. Doing this is your duty. You are destined to serve the Xie family like a beast of burden for the rest of your life. I did not argue. Instead, I dropped to my knees beside her bed and grasped her hand. Mother, you are absolutely right. Among the greatest unfilial acts is leaving no heir. A woman without a son is like duckweed without roots. So, I beg you, Mother, please bear a son for your daughter-in-law. You wouldn't want the vast Xie family fortune to fall into the hands of distant relatives, would you? Rest assured, I will treat this son as if he were my own flesh and blood. She was already near labor, and my words agitated her further. The contractions began at once.
Ah.
My stomach hurts. I'm going into labor. I rubbed my hands together in excitement, even more thrilled than she was.
Quick.
Fetch the doctor. I'm going to have a son. This matter could not be made public, so naturally we summoned the same 80-year-old physician and his young apprentice. The old physician was stunned at the sight of my mother-in-law's enormous belly. Wasn't she supposed to have taken abortion medicine long ago?
How could this be?
The apprentice and I exchanged glances, each seeing the awkwardness in the other's eyes. The old physician was sharp. How could he fail to notice something was amiss? Qing, what have you done behind my back? The apprentice named Qing, he dared not answer. So I spoke for him. Doctor, please don't be angry. I was the one who told him to switch the old madam's abortion medicine for pregnancy tonics. 10. You. The two of you. The old physician was so furious he raised his hand to strike us. From inside the room came my mother-in-law's agonized scream. Ah. There was no time to beat us. He rushed inside to deliver the baby. Prepare hot water. Scissors. Me. Everything's already prepared. For a woman, giving birth is like taking a walk before the gates of death. My own mother never made it back. I still remember the day she went into labor. My elder sister fell ill, and the main wife summoned all the doctors away. Not even a single glance was spared for my mother. She cried out on that bed for an entire day and night. In the end, both she and my unborn younger brother died together. When my father returned and learned that the child in her womb had been a full-term boy, suffocated alive, he was so furious he slapped the main wife. But when my elder sister began to cry, his heart softened. In the end, he merely deducted a year's allowance from the main wife and gave my mother a grand burial. As for me, having lost my birth mother, I was taken into the main wife's courtyard to be raised. They thought I was only 5 at the time and too young to remember anything. But I was precocious from birth. I remember clearly everything they did to me and my mother. The reason I say all this is, back then, I failed to protect my mother. Today, I will protect my mother-in-law and the little brother-in-law in her womb.
Quick.
Slice up the century-old wild ginseng and place it under mother's tongue. Mother, don't scream yet. Save your strength. Shout when it truly matters. More hot water. Boil the scissors and cloth thoroughly. I rushed about in a frenzy, as if I were the true father of the child in her belly. They say the eldest sister-in-law is like a mother. Since my mother-in-law had no husband, then as the eldest daughter-in-law, being like a father was only fitting. I truly loved my mother-in-law and the unborn little brother-in-law in her womb. From here on, things spiral in ways even I didn't foresee. I thought I was the one playing chess with fate, but sometimes fate moves first. Let me tell you what happened next. 11. After leading the entire household in a frenzy of preparations for a whole day, it was finally just before dawn when my mother-in-law gave birth. A loud, piercing cry rang out in the courtyard. What? The old physician rushed out excitedly, holding the baby in his arms. Young madam, the old madam has delivered. I was thrilled. Is it a boy? Quick, let me hold him. The Xie family business needed a son to inherit it. I truly, deeply liked sons. Yet the moment I lifted the swaddling cloth, I froze. The warmth drained from my face instantly, exactly like the look my father once wore when he saw that the child born to him was a girl. How is it a girl? Perhaps my tone was too cold, too oppressive. Beads of sweat immediately formed on the old physician's forehead. Young madam, I have done all I could. Whether it's a boy or a girl is not something we doctors can control. I calmed myself and let out a long sigh. Reaching out, I poked the baby's soft cheek. You're right. This isn't your fault. How is mother's condition? Can she still? The old physician looked at me, terror flashing in his eyes. Young madam. The old madam is already advanced in years. Forcing this pregnancy nearly cost her life. She walked through the gates of hell. Her vitality is severely damaged. She will never be able to conceive again. I had already prepared myself for this outcome. I had guessed as much. I had only wanted to gamble against fate. But human calculations can never outmatch heaven's will. That's unfortunate. I suppressed the sudden urge to secretly switch my mother-in-law's daughter for a baby boy. I had grown up alone and destitute. How could I bear to see another torn from her own flesh and blood? Hand her to the wet nurse. Take good care of her. My sister-in-law is still young. She must not lose her mother the moment she is born. Just as I finished speaking, my husband stormed in.
Zou Xueru.
How dare you stay out all night?
12.
He had bodyguards by his side every single day. But his mother had only me. A well-fed man never understands the hunger of the starving. What could he possibly know of the world's suffering? Suppressing my emotions, I said sweetly, Husband, come quickly. Mother has given us a little sister. The man who had just moments ago been brimming with anger suddenly turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. You said, what? Thinking he hadn't heard clearly, I repeated it. Mother gave birth. Quick, bring the young lady over. Let the young master have a good look at his sister. and I promptly placed the newborn bundle into his arms. Holding his newborn sister, my husband stood frozen. It was as if the gloom that had shadowed his life had been washed away. His face even glowed with something like maternal radiance. "This is my sister?" He lifted her up and nuzzled her gently. "I have a sister. I have a sister. I've always wanted a little sister since I was young. If only Peng Lang and I could have a child of our own." After saying that, he looked at me resentfully, as if it were my fault he had no child to dote on. I tested the waters carefully. Mother is old and doesn't have the energy to raise a child. Why don't we take the baby back and say she's ours? Though she wasn't a son and couldn't inherit the family business, she was still a life. We couldn't simply abandon her. As for a son, that would require a longer plan. To my surprise, my husband refused outright. "Impossible. I will not let this bastard onto the Xie family genealogy. Tomorrow, go to Fahua Temple outside the city. Leave the baby by the roadside, and then find her again. We'll say we picked her up." My mother-in-law, still groggy, opened her eyes and reached out toward him. "You're..." My husband held the baby and turned away, sleeves flicking coldly. "Shameless woman. You violated virtue and disgraced the Xie family name. For the sake that you are my birth mother and to avoid public scandal, from today onward you will remain confined to your quarters. After your confinement month ends, you will move to the family temple, keep your hair, and live out the rest of your life in religious penitence. You are never to step outside again." 13. My mother-in-law had just given birth. Her body was already weak. Hearing her son's words, she collapsed limply like overcooked noodles. I am your mother. You can't treat me like this." I chimed in. "Exactly. Since we're talking about adultery, husband, how are you any more noble than mother? You're clearly jealous that she can bear children while you cannot. You want to take her flesh and blood for yourself and force mother and child apart. But she didn't appreciate my help. Wretched woman. Don't try to sow discord between me and my son. Yor is only angry for now. Sooner or later he'll forgive me." Oh, how touching, their mother-son bond. Even after he treated her like this, she still defended him. Truly, a woman must have a son. So I followed her son's instructions. I saw to her proper postpartum care, and once her confinement ended, I sent her off to the family temple. As for me, I took a trip to the entrance of Fahua Temple. Originally, I planned to leave my little sister-in-law there as an abandoned infant, then find her and raise her as the adopted daughter of my husband and me. Unexpectedly, the moment my servant set her down, someone else picked her up. I was stunned. And the one who picked her up was no ordinary person. It was the dowager lady of the Marquis of Dingyuan's residence. In terms of seniority, Xie Yu would have to address her as grandaunt. I was extremely embarrassed. "Your grandniece-in-law, Lady Zou, greets you, grandaunt." Well, I actually saw this child first. Grandaunt was quite fond of me. Ever since I took over the Xie family business, it had flourished, and I never once neglected her seasonal gifts. Outsiders did not know that Xie Yu was incapable. Hearing my words, Grandaunt took my hand kindly. "I know you have a soft heart, but you're still young. You'll have children of your own one day. Your uncle has no daughters, only one son. This child will suit him perfectly. From now on, she will be the young lady of our Jinbei Marquis household." 14. That day, when I pretended to be disappointed the child was a girl, I was only putting on a show. Truthfully, I loved her just as much. With my skills and influence, even if she were a girl, I could have ensured she stayed in the mansion, found a suitable husband, and inherited the Xie family fortune. During the month that Xie Yu raised the child, I had already grown attached. I had even thought of a name for her. But parental love drives one to plan far ahead. Although the Xie family was wealthy, it was still a merchant household. How could it compare to the prestigious Jinbei Marquis? After much thought, I had no choice but to let her go. Since Grandaunt says so, your grandniece-in-law will obey entirely. To gain Grandaunt's favor is also the child's good fortune. Husband, You and I all will remain, without heirs. I sent off grandaunt and drowned my sorrows in wine. I am such a useless woman, can't have my own child, and can't even keep mother-in-law's daughter safe. What's the point of earning so much money? Without children to sit under my knees and give joy in old age, I'll surely be taken advantage of. My husband doesn't love me, I have no child, and could it be that we must adopt from a collateral branch? Just as I wallowed in grief, I stumbled and collided with a wall of muscle. The man before me was tall and imposing. Yet this was the guest quarters of a temple. Ordinary men could not enter. I scolded instinctively. You cad! Trespassing in the guest house. What are you trying to do? The man said respectfully, Aunt, please forgive me. I heard you were here praying, so I came to pay my respects. If I have disturbed you, please punish me. I paused. Aunt? The man before me stood 8 feet tall, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, red lips and white teeth. He wore the scholar's robe, exuding refined literary elegance, yet his gaze carried the intensity of a warrior. Most importantly, his features resembled Xie Yu's by at least 70 or 80%. Seeing me scrutinize him, his face flushed slightly. Shyly, he spoke. You don't remember? I am Xie Jingzhao, Yu's uncle's nephew. During the ancestral rites earlier this year, I was fortunate enough to meet you once. 15. So alike. Truly alike. Even if Xie Yu had fathered a child himself, it couldn't have looked this similar. If only Xie Jingzhao were my and Xie Yu's son, then our Xie family would have an heir. I ached to have a son, almost to the point of madness. Unconsciously, my tone towards Xie Yu softened. So, it's you, Jingzhao. What brings you to see Aunt? Xie Jingzhao bowed his head lower, his face flushing even more. My father held a military post, but he died on the battlefield when I was 5. My mother, fearing I might follow in his footsteps, forbade me from joining the army and pushed me to pursue scholarly achievements. Only after arriving in the capital did I realize that under this emperor, everything requires silver. The few dozen taels I brought from home were already gone. I could only stay at this temple, copying sutras for the monks for a meager reward. The spring imperial exams are approaching. If I spend all my time struggling for a living, how can I prepare? It's not that I cannot endure hardship, it's just that I fear failing and disappointing my mother. I gently took his hand, stopping him from continuing. Jingzhao, you need not explain. Aunt understands everything. Now go pack your things and come with me back to the Xie mansion. You will study there and prepare for your exams properly. Xie Jingzhao brightened, but didn't dare respond immediately. How can I trouble Aunt so? I only wanted to borrow some silver for now, and I would return it after the exams. I pressed my hand to his lips. You call me Aunt, and yet speak of courtesy? You have no idea. The way you look like you, seeing you is like seeing my own son. Xie Jingzhao's face turned as red as an apple. He fidgeted, wanting to pull his hand back.
You jest, Aunt.
Age-wise, Jingzhao is only a month older than Uncle Yu, and you are still much older. Besides, Uncle and Aunt have only been married a year. It's normal not to have children yet. I cried and threw myself into his arms, burying my face in his chest. Boo-hoo, you don't understand. You and I will never have children of our own in this lifetime. 16. I brought Xie Jingzhao back home, arranging for him to study in the vacant guest quarters beside the Xie mansion. It was separated from my courtyard by only a single wall. The door remained locked day and night. No one disturbed him in his studies. But I had lost my little sister-in-law, and I still needed to go confront my husband and beg his forgiveness. Boo-hoo. Husband, it's all my fault. I never expected to run into Grandaunt today. Now, Grandaunt has taken the child. My sister has become the young lady of the Jinbei Marquis. What do we do now? Xie Yu's face darkened. You useless woman. You can't even handle such a small matter. Well, who could have predicted that bastard child would have such fortune, and the entire mansion would keep silent, not letting a single word slip? I nodded, then mentioned Xie Jingzhao's situation. Xie Yu's expression softened. Good, you understand. Jingzhao is the hope of our Xie clan. We must not neglect him. Give him a monthly allowance of 100 taels from my private treasury. Tears in my eyes, I nodded. Don't worry, husband. I will take good care of young Jingzhao. Xie Yu snorted dismissively and glanced at me. I remember your body was ready yesterday. I hope this time you won't disappoint me. Boohoo, my husband truly loves me. He is desperate for a child from me, so it can inherit the Xie family. For this reason, he even arranged for his beloved man to accompany me. Who would understand this at home? With a husband like this, what more could a wife ask for? That evening, when Peng Qing came to rock the chair, I said thoughtfully, Brother Peng, I think it's time I personally give the Xie family a child. Big, strong, and honest, Peng Cheng's legs went weak at hearing this. He clutched my thighs and cried, tears streaming, nose running. Young madam, please don't trouble me. You know I'm no good with women. My cousin is still waiting for me back home. I've already served the young master enough. It wouldn't be fair if I served you too. I kicked him disdainfully. I didn't say I wanted a child with you. Seeing him stunned, I continued, but you must say it's ours. 17. Peng Cheng was completely horrified. Young madam, you mean you want with someone else? If the young master finds out, he'll kill you. I lowered my gaze at him. I didn't expect you actually care about me. Peng Cheng, of course. We share a room every month. We're like sisters in arms. And besides, you saved my mother. I can't just watch you die. I was deeply touched and handed him 1,000 taels. Oh, don't worry. As long as you don't tell anyone, no one will notice. Exactly. The man I intended to use as a seed donor was none other than my husband's nephew, Xie Jingzhao. He resembled Xie Yu by 70 to 80%. Any child we had together would undoubtedly look like him too. I truly loved my husband. Even if I couldn't bear his child myself, I would find someone who looked like him to do it. Since only a wall separated us, every night after settling the accounts, I would bring Jingzhao soup and desserts. At first, he was shy, but gradually our playful aunt-nephew teasing grew warm and affectionate. He even said, Aunt, when I achieve success one day, I will repay you properly. Then came another month of being with Peng Cheng. I held Jingzhao and covered his mouth. Not later.
Now.
To be honest, your Uncle Yu was captured by bandits earlier this year. His reproductive ability is gone. But the Xie family has been passing down from one generation to the next. Can you bear to see our family line end? This isn't just my wish, it's your Uncle Yu's as well. Otherwise, why do you think he allocates 100 taels from his private treasury for you every month? While he was still stunned, I pinned him down. Honestly, I didn't know much about intimate relations, but Peng Cheng was an expert and had taught me a lot. Applying those techniques to Jingzhao proved very effective. Afterwards, Xie Jingzhao's faith in himself collapsed. He looked at me as if I were his enemy. This is the last time. From now on, I owe you nothing. I hoped it would truly be just once. But the next month my period came again. I had to go to him. One more time. To fully fulfill his aunt's duty, Xie Jingzhao endured 17 rounds in a single night. I gasped, enough, enough, enough.
18.
By the end of the year, I finally became pregnant. When my husband learned the news, he lifted me up in joy. Wonderful, wonderful. But he wasn't speaking to me, he was speaking to Peng Lang. Peng Lang, we'll have our own child soon.
Oh.
He truly loved him. And I truly loved him too. Peng Lang trembled at the truth. For the next few months, I rested at home to care for the baby. They say the first 3 months are the most crucial. But this child inherited his father's stubbornness. I suffered terrible morning sickness, unable to eat anything without vomiting. I lost weight. One night, unable to sleep, I felt the blanket beside me sink. Turning over, it was Xie Jingzhao. I gasped, Jingzhao, what are you doing here? Xie Jingzhao, when you needed me, you called me little darling. Now you dismiss me with a mere nephew? I stared at him in shock. What did he mean? Weren't we supposed to leave each other alone? No debts, no entanglements? Seeing my silence, he seemed angry. Fine then. He pulled a packet of dried sour plums from his pocket and popped one into my mouth. You said morning sickness makes you unable to eat anything, right? These are plums I dried myself using my mother's recipe. When she gave birth to me, she ate these. I won't lie, one bite, and my nausea eased. They say sour boys, spicy girls. I love sour foods, so this baby should be a boy, right? I don't want to trouble you anymore. Xie Jingzhao's face darkened, and he held my hand tightly. You think being intimate with me is troublesome? This man, a scholar, and yet he says such things. Oh, stop it. I'm your uncle's wife. I love my husband deeply. If it weren't for the child, I wouldn't betray him like this. Xie Jingzhao, furious, flung his sleeve and ran off. Young and impulsive, running was fine. I already had the child I needed. I didn't need him anymore. Hopefully, he would ace the spring imperial exams, rise in status, leave the Xie household, and never return. 19. During the new year, I begged my husband to bring mother-in-law home for the holiday. He was pleased with my pregnancy and had her escorted back. Upon learning about my pregnancy, mother-in-law was shocked and flustered.
Zou Xueru.
You wretched woman. Stealing a man behind my son's back. I was now the true mistress of the Xie household, holding the power of the family. I was no longer a servant girl to be beaten and scolded. This man, my husband took him, mother-in-law took him. Why can't I? Mother-in-law, your son doesn't mind, so why do you? Since that incident, how long has it been since you've seen such a smile on his face? Everything I've done is just to make my husband happy. Mother-in-law realized she had no say in the matter. After catching her breath, she said, Tomorrow, I'll accompany you to visit your grandaunt and see how my poor daughter is doing. True to form, she quickly came to terms with it. My husband, mother-in-law, Pengcheng, Xie Jingzhao, and I shared a joyful New Year's Eve feast. It was a truly harmonious family gathering. Soon, the results of the imperial exams were announced. Xie Jingzhao lived up to expectations, appointed third place on the golden throne. He paraded through the streets on horseback, a magnificent sight. His good looks drew noble girls from across the capital, all eager to propose. Some even tried to claim him forcibly as a son-in-law. But being from a warrior family, he not only excelled in literature, but was also skilled in combat. Those who challenged him failed and gave up. I managed everything for him, holding his examination notices, sorting through the betrothal letters and portraits. Nephew, look. These letters are from powerful families. Do you see any you like? Xie Jingzhao removed his official cap and glanced at my belly. Aunt, your belly holds my kin. How can I marry? I was startled, quickly throwing myself over to cover his mouth. This brat, how could he dare to spill everything?
20.
When Xie Jingzhao began his official career, he first served at the Hanlin Academy. He claimed he had little money, so he continued to live in the Xie family's side residence. Later, after I gave birth to our son, he insisted, on account of being the third-place scholar, on naming him. The formal name will be Xie Yunqi, and the nickname Dodo. My husband was puzzled. Why should he name my son? Fearing that my husband would see through the truth, I quickly said, with dragons gliding gracefully and clouds curling in patterns, our nephew is truly a third-place scholar, such a cultured man. Husband, let him name him. Imagine telling people our son's name was chosen by a third-place scholar. How prestigious. My husband sensed something odd, yet it didn't seem wrong enough to contest. All right, fine. Xie Jingzhao's career was exceptionally smooth. He spent a year at the Hanlin Academy, then moved to the Sensory, and within 3 years rose to a mid-level official at the Ministry of War. With his salary, he could have moved out, yet he not only refused, but also remained unmarried and would climb over the wall to visit my bed. I panicked. Nephew, what are you doing? Xie Jingzhao replied, Aunt, I treat you as you treated me. He was young and strong, high-ranking, while I was fragile and unable to manage on my own. I had no choice but to submit. Though careful every time, I became pregnant again. There was no other explanation. I had to say it was Peng Cheng's child. When my husband learned the truth, he was furious, even slashing Peng Cheng's face. You promised you only loved me. You said you'd never touch him again. Peng Cheng was bewildered, but being a loyal friend, he took it on. Well, Yunqi said he wants a little sister. Thus, Xie Jingzhao ended up staying with us for 10 years. In those 10 years, we had 2 more sons and a daughter. At first, Xie Yu was a bit bothered. After all, he loved Peng Cheng dearly. But over time, he was overwhelmed by the joy of children and grandchildren. Don't tell anyone, but these 3 children, they look more and more like me. I shyly rubbed my nose. Of course, you're the children's father. One day, I saw Xie Jingzhao, now promoted to minister, giving me a dark, menacing look. Oh no.
He heard that.
21. Xie Jingzhao shamelessly stayed with us for 10 years. At first, Xie Yu expected that as he climbed the ranks, he would eventually move out. But seeing no sign of him leaving, he grew accustomed to the liveliness. After having 3 children, he became gentle and compassionate, exuding a maternal glow. Thanks to Xie Jingzhao's power, I expanded our business, becoming a wealthy imperial merchant. Our family of 7 was rich, influential, and happy. The mother-in-law, who lived long in the monastery, was extremely jealous. She even colluded with the old bandits when we brought the children to see her, capturing all of us.
Zou Xueru.
How dare you live happily after ruining me? These 3 children, clearly illegitimate, aren't my sons. Xie Yu. Mother, say something the public doesn't know. I was harmed years ago, and can no longer conceive. Xueru sacrificed for this family. Not afraid to tell you. The 3 children are hers and Peng Cheng's. Mother-in-law shouted. Nonsense. Look at them. Who do they resemble? Xie Yu. I raised them so naturally they look like me. Wait. Like Xie Jingzhao? Zou Xueru, you tricked me? I quickly soothed him. Husband, calm down. Xie Jingzhao may be a collateral branch, but he shares your bloodline. Our son inherits the Xie family. How could it go to an outsider? Moreover, Xie Jingzhao is now minister, powerful and influential. With such a father, our son's future is boundless. Xie Yu suddenly understood. You're right. You really think ahead, my wife. Mother-in-law collapsed, screaming. Son, are you really letting this go? She cheated on you, and you won't pursue it? Xie Yu had finally gained perspective. I can't have children myself, so whether it's Peng Cheng or Xie Jingzhao, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I am her nominal husband. The 3 children call me father. I already treat them as my own. I wept. Husband, you truly are magnanimous. At that moment, mother-in-law sneered. Do you think the bandits attacked during your wedding return wasn't my doing? Xie Yu's expression suddenly changed. Zou Xueru, could it be that you? 22. Yes, at this point, I didn't want to deny it. I was the one who hired the bandits to capture us. I just wanted to heroically save you, make you grateful, and strengthen our marriage, so you wouldn't divorce me. Never expected you'd be so ruthless and things went wrong. But reflect on these years. How have I treated you? Have I not cared for you? Not made amends? In these 10 years, when have I ever let you worry about the family? Xie Yu stared at me, chest heaving. You. I slapped him. Don't point at me. If not for me, how would you have 3 children to call you father, delighting in your presence every day? Your mother had difficulty giving birth. I gave her century-old ginseng to help her deliver the children. Her daughter, originally a shameful illegitimate child, I arranged for the North Marquis household to adopt her, making her the granddaughter of the Xie household. I've treated you all so well, why blame me? All I ever wanted was a family. I broke down. 10 years of carefully crafting a harmonious household had been a fragile illusion. I wanted to strike out at everyone. Call me a lewd woman, shameless, but aren't you just as guilty? You 2 are scoundrels too. Come on, let's say it all. At worst, we go our separate ways. Over the years, I helped the Xie family earn at least 800,000 taels. The houses, shops, estates, and dowries for the 3 children were already prepared. At worst, I could leave with the children and live freely. Unexpectedly, Xie Yu understood clearly. Ha ha ha, fine. At this point, what's the point of arguing? Zou Xueru, Xie Yu, am doomed by you in this life. Count me unlucky. Family shame mustn't be exposed. Mother, don't bring this up again. Honestly, I'd always underestimated Xie Yu, but now, I wanted to give him a thumbs up. Yu Lang, you truly are a real man.
23.
After that day, Xie Yu never mentioned the household affairs at the temple again. Mother-in-law, depressed, passed away the next year at 52. My son, Xie Yunqi, as the eldest grandson, held the ritual smashing of bowls, giving her a grand funeral. 10 years later, Xie Yu passed away from a cold. My son, again as the eldest grandson, held the ritual smashing of bowls and gave him a grand funeral. My dear friend Ping Cheng, after seeing Xie Yu off, bid me farewell. Dear friend, I'm returning home to my young love. To be honest, all the money you gave me I've already sent back. He adopted 3 sons for me, and those sons gave me 3 grandsons. I'm surrounded by descendants. Wiping my tears, I sighed. Having a full house of descendants is wonderful. In life, isn't the greatest joy having children and grandchildren? Mother-in-law dead, Xie Yu dead, Peng Cheng gone. The vast Xie household remained for my 3 children to inherit. Xie Jingzhao, nearing 40, unmarried, though often sneaking over, appeared lonely and pitiful to outsiders. So I decided to adopt our second son to him. Later, both sons married and had children, and our daughter married into another household. Each had several children, and Xie Jingzhao and I both achieved a full house of descendants. Xie Jingzhao lived to 88. Surrounded by over 100 children and grandchildren, he held my hand, unwillingly saying, Zou Xueru, I spent my life as your hidden lover. In the next life, will you marry me? I don't want to be nameless. Also 88. I covered his mouth. Old fool, don't ruin my reputation. And with that, Xie Jingzhao, who could have lasted a little longer, passed away. The 100+ descendants. I said, hey, it's fine. Everyone old eventually dies. The end. And that's the thing, she did almost nothing, yet everything fell into her lap. I love how chaotic, ridiculous, and utterly satisfying her story is. Who knew being a total mess could actually be so powerful? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild tales like this.